that line, double click it. Okay. And then double click that line. With G34. Oh, that's revenue, okay, that's right. And then you should be able to double click that line. And again, the formula's there, so. That's my proposed budget, guys.
Can you just look at the state police thing and make sure that that number can't hide?
Yeah, you scroll up. I know. Bear with me, I know you'll be here when we're on late.
There it is.
Yeah, so we went from 35.6 down to 33.6, so, you know, 2,050 bucks.
The budget I have says 33.6 and the 2060 is in there.
It was forced.
All right, so,
The 33.6 was forced. The formula was the one.
oh, then the formula's probably one back. So I was working with the bookkeeper on this, so, you know, we may have lost the formula in there, but, you know, the formula is there. I can double check them.
Yes, so the formula's got to be wrong in here.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
It's 35.
Paper copy's wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But actually, I have a update, well, it's still gonna be wrong, but,
I can add it right now if you want me to real quick.
no, that's fine. It's the budget. At least it's our proposed budget, so, you know, we did close the public hearing, so, the town board is on a resolution. You could probably just do a save. Just do a save.
Say that, or?
No, just do a save. And then, you know, Carol, I can double check this, and get you a hard copy in the morning, or both, or whichever you need. So, all right, I guess at this point we'll close the public hearing. It's okay, I know everybody's running late here. We got Mr. Carver Laraway wants to do a presentation. Going to take like 2 minutes or 5 minutes. We'll take a quick break, come back in, and we'll start the hearing. So 5 minutes, folks. We need a break. All right, so I'm going to open up the town board meeting at 8:50. 7:50, sorry. We're going to try to move through this pretty quickly, so I appreciate everybody's patience. Mr. Carver Laraway wants to make a presentation, so I hope he's not as long-winded as I am. And then we'll move through the rest of the meeting fairly quickly.
My name is Donald Z. I'm the attorney for Carver Laraway. Okay. So I just wanted to make a short presentation. I appreciate you allowing us to come tonight. What we are here to ask the board. Chris,
can you shut it off to your laptop, or?
Well, we're here to ask the board to seek some input from the board. Carver Laraway owns a substantial amount of vacant property near Settles Hills Road and Route 20 in the town of Princetown. The property is serviced by public water. And in that area, you have the Tree Farm restaurant, you have a Citgo station, and a diner, you have offices, you have some residential, you have the golf course, you have a church, all in that area. And the property Carver's owned for approximately 10 years, and he's looking to see if there's any ability for the board to consider amending its zoning code so as to permit some apartment units that would be constructed on the property immediately across the street from it. And this is just a conceptual layout. And as you can see on the top of the map, that would be Route 20. The side is Settles Hills Road. And what we are proposing to build is a potentially 4-unit buildings with attached garages. And Chris, do you have a layout of what that building would look like for the board to look at? So we would look at units like this. Developments with this type of housing developments where there are 52 units in the town of Rotterdam. In the 52 units called Putnam Woods near Campbell Road. There are no school-aged children in that development. I was involved in another one in Rotterdam called White Birch Gardens condominiums. There's 112 units in there. After we developed that project, now it's for Amador Homes, there were 4 school-aged children. The development was so successful in generating school tax revenues, the town, in fact, the school district came to my client and said, please build another one, and that's the genesis of Putnam Woods development, which Mr. Marciniak lives at. We did an economic analysis of what this type of project would generate in tax revenues. And I understand you do not have a town tax, but with a project of this nature where we would have private roads, so there would be no impact to your highway budget because it would be the responsibility of the owner to maintain the roadway system. We would be able to, based on our analysis, utilizing values of comparable housing products that have been recently built in the town of Rotterdam, and using your equalization rate, etc., we believe we would generate somewhere in the neighborhood of up to $180,000 in positive tax revenues. That includes approximately $107,000 of revenues to the Chalmont School District. Now, I'm not talking about gross revenues, I'm talking about net revenues, because the actual revenues would be higher, but we accounted based on Chalmont's actual information, which is on their website, about the cost per pupil, which is just under $10,000 a child. We netted that out, and we said that, okay, if you have these revenues and you net out the expenses as shown on Chalmont's website, and I have it right here and I've highlighted, and I just wanted to present it to you.
Thank you, sir.
So we support everything that we have in there as to the number of school-age children based on national data. This is the study was done by Rutgers University Center for Urban Policy Planning. We looked at Chalmont's actual expenses as they show on their websites. We then do the evaluation and we show supporting information about the town of Rotterdam product that we would be comparable to, so that we are comparing apples to apples by way of fair market value, and then we use your equalization rates and then your tax rates. We then also looked at the revenues for the county, which is around $63,000, and the revenues to the Pine Grove Fire Department. We anticipate generation of $10,000+ there. But we just didn't want to stop at with regard to the concept of the residential, because I did in fact sit down and read your town comprehensive plan from the 1990s. I read your town proposed comp plan, which was not adopted, and I went through the minutes of the current comp plan committee. And some of the things that I guess were brought out in those meetings and in the comp plan and in the current meetings is the desire for a town center. And they also indicated, and this I'm saying I think 61% of the people surveyed when you did went through the exercise in 2008, 2009, said that they would like a town center, and you would also like diversity of housing types. And so what we are offering is a new type of housing, which is multifamily, which you don't have a lot of in the town. As I said, in this area you have municipal service, which is water, which we would obviously have to pay the hookup fees as well as the water fees, which would help your O&M charges, would help your debt service, thus helping your remaining residents on their bills. By paying the rates for the fire protection, we would also once again help the fire district. We also propose not only the residential, but we propose potentially a strip mall along Route 20, and Chris, if you could just point that out. We also did an economic analysis of a potential 25,000 square foot strip mall there, utilizing, and I'm going to say conservatively, triple net rates of $8 per square foot. I'm just saying, just conservatively, and with a 10% vacancy rate and a 4% administrative cost, for an accountant, attorney fees, etc. And I come up with that we would propose to generate close to $52,000 in tax revenues, because obviously if we have a strip center, which would also have potential for offices, etc., that you would develop benefits for the fire district as well as the Chalmont School District as well. And I just want to present that to the board. Now, one reason why we think of a development like this as attractive is that if you look at the comp plan as well as the Capital District Regional Planning Commission's analysis of the town of Princetown during the years going through the mid-2000s, they projected that your population would increase. And in fact, if you compare the 2000 census to 2010 census, the population of the town of Princetown decreased. Okay? The population decreased in the town. At the same time, if you look at the housing vacancy rate, the amount of housing in the town of Princetown that has been not occupied, it went down from 4.6% to 1.2%. Less people, less vacancy. And what does that tell someone like myself, as well as Carver, is that you are in need of additional housing and additional housing types. And that's what we are proposing to offer in this area, which we would believe would be a good place for a town center. There would also be some other benefits to the town of Princetown, and it may be arguable to the detriment of Duanesburg and Gilderland, because of where this is located. There's really just a small section of Princetown there, and the major impact would be somewhat traffic. But you have Route 20, which can handle the traffic, but the traffic would be going, most majority, I would think, east towards Gilderland, and in the evenings to Princetown. But you would not have a lot of traffic going through the bulk of the hot streets of the town of Princetown. As I said, this information which I just indicated, I have supporting documentation. This is with regard to the population, the vacancy rates, etc., all in the information presented here, and that's all part of the census information. So we, as I said, we propose to put this type of housing in. I know what we would need is the town board to consider the possibility of amending its industrial zoning code, and I would ask that you consider it when you have the availability of a municipal service such as water in this area. And what we find is that when you have residential development, that obviously draws commercial development. And that's why we believe not only the residential development is appropriate, but that will generate the need for the strip center, which would have a variety of uses. And in this area already, you have offices, you have the restaurants, which has a tavern, you have the Chuck Wagon diner there, you have the gasoline store with general sales. You have, in fact, recreational facilities because you got the Hillside Golf Course. So that is, in fact, in our opinion, a very good location for a town center. And it's an area where, with municipal services, but I think no additional taxing on your systems, and because we are not going to request having a town road. We would have that as a private situation. Obviously, if this board were willing to consider this, we could go into more detail, but I don't. You just had a lengthy presentation about your budget. We felt it's almost apropos because we are offering, if this project is to be developed and looked at, possible additional sources of revenues with, as I said, nominal impact to your budget, only positive impact. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And we thank you for the opportunity to come tonight.
Well, you know, speaking for myself, I'm very excited. I know I haven't had the pleasure to meet Mr. Larway yet, but at the beginning of the year, myself and Norm Miller had gone down to Metroplex and spoke with Ray Gillum, and you know, it was on my things to do list, so I'd like to get back to you. But this is exactly what Norm and I and the board is saying. It's like, you know, we can get Ray Gillum, get Metroplex to help, you know, with exactly, you know, a situation like this. So personally, I'm very excited. you know, with the comp plan going through its paces right now, again, it's gonna be critical, because that was actually the first question Ray asked. How's your comp plan? Oh, well, we don't have one. So, you know, I think everything sounds like it's coming to, you know, again, for myself, that I think it's, you know, it's all coming to, you know, a great culmination here. We can get the comp plan done, when we're back to Schenectady, meet with Ray Gilman, maybe, you know, Mr. Larway, and yourself, or whatever, say, hey, you know, we got this proposal, what can you do, can you help us along here? So, that's just my personal thought, anyway.
I just have a question. There was some talk about possibly senior housing. Is that part of that?
We talked about a possibility of setting aside a percentage of the units for seniors.
Okay. Now, it sounds great to me. I'd like to just express my viewpoint as well, but we would have to make some town changes as far as some of our regulations with zoning and all of that. But
Just as to the seniors, well, why we didn't want to have it exclusively seniors or exclusively, what I found, and I've done got research on, there's a study done by Harvard University, which has indicated that the majority of seniors do not want to live exclusively in a senior community. They want the mixed age type facilities because they feel younger when they see younger people and there's more activities.
I'd like to thank you for a very coherent and easy to understand presentation. You supplied us with good information, and you're absolutely right that we had talked in the comprehensive plan, you know, having to be flexible in order to form like a hamlet, to kind of relax the zoning and make it less cut and dried in order to accommodate something like this. So this is a movement in the direction where I think the town wants to go. And so thank you again for a very nice presentation.
I was gonna ask my question, but I was.
No, I think it was excellent. I think it's a great idea, and it's a great project.
No.
14.
We had 52 units that is proposed. Those are all full-unit buildings.
14, 4-unit building. 14.
This strip mall.
14, I'm sorry, 56.
How big was the strip mall again?
Well, we had just showed a conceptual plan like 25,000 square feet.
So how many storefronts, like,
Well, normally I would think that you're looking at somewhere between 2,500 to 5,000 per storefront. So somewhere between 5 to 10. And it depends. We say it's a strip mall, but I found more strip malls now also have other uses like offices. We would tend to believe that if you have individuals living here, you might have a need for some medical type facilities in the area, a doctor, desire to move, a dentist, that type of thing. So we wouldn't want to limit to just a retail type use.
That's a US highway. Do you need any approval from the Bedford?
I went through that when we did the street there originally, and that's why the Commerce Road was made so much larger, so that a lot of your access point would come out on, so there would be a lot less road cuts on Route 20. They'd come off of the Converse and maybe just one road cut on Route 20, and actually in a much safer place, rather than by the church there where it is so much more dangerous. You know,
If I may, and this is just a conceptual plan, and I apologize for taking it, but for the board to see, what you have here is the strip center with people parking in the rear. So the access curb cuts would be to the side roads and not onto Western Avenue. Because obviously, we want our customers, clients, whatever, to feel comfortable getting into the site and backing out or adding the additional curb cut onto Western Avenue may not be the most appropriate thing. Obviously, it'll be subject to review by your boards as well as New York State DOT because of its proximity to it, because we want to make sure what we call the queuing, as people exit, there's enough room for people to stack up going in and out of the site. As I said, obviously, this is a Tree Farm restaurant, which is in Carver purchased. It was basically run down and not in use for a year or two. He's renovated, made a very successful facility. Carver business is right here, Carver Construction. So he's going to be right there. So it isn't really, if it was a multifamily, he's going to be an absentee owner. he's right there. He's at his office, I think that, people say too often, you know. It's only 7 days a week, but he will be there, and if you ever seen any of his sites, you'll know that he's very meticulous about how it looks and how it's maintained.
I think that, my feeling is, doing the maintenance-free living, I think a lot of us, myself speaking, as we get older, I don't want to mow my lawn anymore. I don't want to plow my driveway, I don't want to take the garbage out, I'm lazy, I think. But, it's just, and it gives people an option that are in Princetown, that there's an option to go within without leaving the community, to go to Schenectady, to go to Rotterdam, to go to one of the other sites that are coming. It's a different way. And I'm committed to the community. If you don't want it, I'm fine with it. I think it has to be a community effort that if everybody says they want it, then I'll go for it. I don't want to fight the board for it though.
No, I mean,
Don't think it's too much of a fight.
to me, I'd like to have you take that whole thing, Princetown is like this.
Yeah.
You're down here, I live up here, can we slide it up to the middle side? But no, I think that this is something, an idea whose time has come.
Yeah.
And it's like, presented the way you have it tonight. A strip mall doesn't have to be an ugly thing.
Yeah, there's a streetscape, I'm excited about it, because I think this is really that Florida-type, gated-type community living, that one access in for security-wise. It fits, as far as I'm concerned.
I just wanted to, maybe if you can expand on the infrastructure that you plan on putting in. One of the issues that Princetown always has is the sewers, and so you had a solution to that.
Yeah.
Chris respond to that, Chris Rondo with the Ingalls and Associates.
Yeah. So basically, I think the way the code is written now, as far as multifamily is concerned, you need a very large area in order to even do just a duplex home. But in this case, it's a little bit different because we have the area available for what Department of Health and DEC consider